What up, teacher friends? Hope you are having an incredible day because I am about to make it even more incredible with this week's episode of the Teacher Vlog. We are talking with my friend Christina Hanson, who is a middle school ELA teacher from Illinois, who is literally oozing with passion for books. And I think that's common for an ELA teacher, but this woman practices what she preaches. You are about to see the most incredible teacher library that is happening in her own classroom. Now, stick around at the end of the episode because I want to make you an offer and give you some info on a free book that you can add to your personal teacher library. But for now, let's get rolling and watch this incredible episode with Christina Hanson. All right, everybody, we are with Christina Hanson, who is a middle school ELA teacher. Before this call even started, I thought for sure she was in the library to record this, and I thought amazing backdrop, but this is not the library, right?
No, this is my actual classroom library.
Which is huge. You have approximately 2,000 books. Look at this. She's even panning for us to see all of these. It is definitely the most books that I've ever seen in a classroom. That's insane. Good for you. How long has it taken for you to get all of those?
Probably about 3 or 4 years. And it's been a combination of me purchasing them, but then, some donors choose projects, going to Goodwill or Salvation Army. And I've even had some donations from other teachers and even students. I'll ask students to, hey, you got any books at home that you're not reading? And I'd love to have them in the library. And sometimes kids will just donate them. So
yeah, good for you. And I'm like totally creeping as like I can see the books behind you. They're like color coded, aren't they?
yeah, there's just a color coded label on them for the author's last name.
Okay.
And then they're actually organized by genre and then alphabetized by author name within the genre.
Do you keep track of all that, or do you have students who help you do that?
I have students that help me do that. I have all my books in a Google sheet, and so then the kids just go and they look on the Google sheet, what genre it is, if they don't already know, and then they know where it goes. So makes it a little easier with the color coded.
I'm like so mind blown right now. Like I always say like, hey, if we can record these calls in your classroom, that's awesome. But you're bringing it to another level.
Okay.
So I think it's perfect that we are actually having a themed episode of talking about books. You're clearly passionate about it, and you are like you're not just saying you're passionate about books. I think that's a normal thing to say for an ELA teacher, but like you are passionate. So you're sharing. The first tip is about student choice when reading. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when kids come into my classroom, especially a middle school classroom, maybe coming from an elementary building, they may have been used to like having bins that were leveled and maybe been restricted as far as what they're able to read because maybe they weren't reading at a certain lettered level or whatever their past teachers have chose for them, or maybe their school had AR and they could only read with a certain point value or things like that. And we don't do that at our school. I don't believe in levels. I don't think kids should have a level because I don't even know what my reading level is. So why does it matter what kids' reading level is, And when they go into a Barnes and Noble or a library, they're not leveled. And so I think kids need to have the ability to pick whatever book they want. They need to learn when a book is easy or just right or challenging. And when they get to pick the topics of books that they want to read, they'll read. You're not just going to force a kid to read a book. And I mean, if you force a kid to read a book, they're probably not going to read it. But if you give them choice and like with our library, we've got a variety of topics and a variety of formats, from picture books to graphic novels to chapter books. They're going to be more apt to pick up a book. And so just having that choice may get those readers that have never read in the past, the want and the drive to be able to pick up a book. So
yeah, the greatest point, and I've literally never thought about this, and now it's like, obviously, when you walk into a bookstore, they're not like, well, I'm a level L reader, so we're the level L. Like, that's not how that is. So
Right.
that is so interesting and so profound. So, um, just the fact that like students should be able to self-assess, should be have the skill set, especially by middle school, to pick
Mm-hmm.
up a book and know like this is beyond my reading level. I love that. Awesome.
Right. And there's times too, like in my own reading lives, I share my reading life with my students. Like there'll be times when, I'll read chapter book after chapter book, but then there's other times where I need a graphic novel to read, or I need a picture book. Like, so you need that variety, because I'm not going to read all chapter books just because I'm a grown up,
Right.
so I have that variety for kids too. Sometimes our brains need a break from all, 300 pages with just words. Sometimes we just need those visual pictures to give us a break, and that'll drive our reading lives further, and
Yeah.
keep reading.
I think that's so great to hear, because when talking about sharing what you're reading, I think particularly for ELA teachers, like you're encouraging kids to read, so I'm sure they're always wanting to know, like, well, what are you reading, Ms. Hanson? So what are you reading right now? What do you got your head in? What kind of book?
So I'm reading a book right now called, and I have to look, I have a board in my room that has what I'm currently reading. So I'm reading this book right now called Right as Rain, by Lindsay Stoddard. She wrote a book last year called Just Like Jackie. And this Right as Rain book's not released till February. I was able to get an arc of it earlier. And I just started it yesterday, and I'm in love with it already. So it's one that I can't wait to have some extra time to be able to read. But yeah, in my classroom, I've got a board that I have, what Mrs. Hanson is reading, and I've got just covers, picture book covers, where kids can see what I have finished reading, and then I have a section for what I finished, what I'm currently reading, and then what I have coming up next. So the kids can see sort of, just visually from the covers what I've already read, and it's a good conversation starter, because the kids will be like, "Oh, we read that book, last year," or, "That one looks interesting. Can you tell me more about that?" We're going to tell the kids, we do independent reading in my room for about 20, 25 minutes. There'll be times if I'm not doing like a small group that I'll grab my book and kick back and read along with them, because if I'm not pressing, reading, and I'm not doing it myself, like walk your talk,
Yeah.
if you want your kids to read, you need to be showing them that you're reading too.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I feel like you've also basically developed the teacher version of like Oprah's reading list right now. Like, here's what I'm reading, here's what I've read, here's what's coming up. Do you
Yep.
publish your reading list for other teachers to see? Do you do that?
Sometimes I'll take a picture of my board and throw it on Instagram. Sometimes, I have a Goodreads account, and so like some of my teacher friends are on there. They'll follow what I'm reading and
Yeah.
things like that. So I guess maybe not, publish it per se, like on a blog or anything, but I'll snap a picture of it every once in a while and share what I'm reading. So, sometimes I'll share, books that I finished with a little, blurb on it on Instagram or Twitter, but
Yeah. Okay, and I hear you're also offering tours of your class library.
yes,
That's
sure.
not true. I just made that up. But
Come on in, you guys can check out books anytime. As I tell my fellow teachers, they're always coming in and asking, "You got any good books to read?" And, well, do you have time for me to tell you about some books? Those types of things. So yeah, definitely.
I am insanely jealous of Christina's walls that are lined with books. Like, I'm not a reading teacher. Science is my thing, but that doesn't mean that I don't love reading. How great were her tips on making sure that kids are loving what they're reading by giving them choice, and also making sure that she's informing them on what she is reading. I don't know what you're reading right now, but I want to give you the opportunity to read my new book called Crushing It for Kids. Here's the best part about Crushing It for Kids. You can get it for absolutely free. In fact, I'm leading an online course with this book, and you can get this and other amazing ideas for your classroom so you can crush it for your students on a daily basis. You gotta check this out. Once again, you can get this for free. Check it out, but no matter what is going on in your life, no matter what you're reading or what kind of PD you're doing right now, I want you to remember that, hey, you got this. Thanks for watching, everybody.